Hey friends, I'm Jessi Moon Six, your sister in the craft, and this is The Melting Pot. I am very excited to announce with you that I am about to start a new series here on my channel where each week I will be spotlighting a new herb or tree or spice, and we're going to be diving into some of the legends and lore that surround these plants, herbs, trees, so that we can kind of understand these modern correspondences and where some of them may have stemmed from or got their roots. So what inspired this is actually the book that I'm going to be reading a bit from today. This is called The Herb Book, and it was made back in the 70s. It's by a man named John Lust, and it's kind of a mixed bag, but there has been a lot of cool information in here and a lot of good sources as well. And it's funny because this book actually kind of found me in a roadside library. And I will also be taking a bit from the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine, and we'll be covering some different uses for these herbs as well. And I thought a great herb to start with would be rosemary. Because something you see a lot in the witchcraft community, or when you do a lot of green magic or working with plants, you see you can use rosemary for anything, right? There's all these correspondences. And I wanted to see where that came from. So as I found the legends and lore section in this book, started digging through the section about rosemary, I started realizing why it is believed that it can be used for so many things, why it is believed to be so versatile. So let's dive right in. If you see me looking down, I'm just going to be peeking at some notes so I don't get lost. So I'm going to dive into some of the, like I said, legends and folklore surrounding the plants first. We're going to start there so we can get an idea of where some of these correspondences come from. And then we will go over some different uses. One of the first folk legends that I found about this was in Christian folklore, that they believed that rosemary had always only been white until Mary hung her cloak upon a rosemary bush, turning the flower blossoms blue. Rosemary is one of the most beloved herbs. In ancient Greece, students who were studying for their exams would make garlands of rosemary to wear while they studied to help them with their memory. And this is something that is still practiced today. So it was commonly associated with memory and helping you retain memory, but it was also associated with happy memories, fidelity, and love. So it later became known as a wedding flower in Europe, where the brides would carry sprigs of rosemary or wear sprigs of rosemary. Rosemary actually also became a funeral flower later in 17th to 18th century Europe. And it was thought to be linked to memories of loved ones was the correspondence, which probably goes back to the previous mentioned correspondence of happy memories. Often at the end of a funeral service, sprigs of rosemary would be dropped into the grave before the burial was completed. Often rosemary was also thought to be endowed with magical properties or magical powers, and so it was placed under pillows, to ward off bad dreams or evil spirits. And in the Middle Ages, it was also, ironically enough, used to protect against witches and also the plague. Another old folklore around rosemary was that because of the representation of love and fidelity, that if a young man or a young woman were to take a sprig of rosemary and poke the other on their finger, that this would somehow entice them into a spell of love and a wedding would be soon to follow. Oh, but this one takes the cake. In England, if a rosemary bush was flourishing outside of a home, this was thought to be taken as a sign that the wife or the woman was the boss of the home. And this belief also led to the men sometimes sneaking out to cut the roots of the plants to avoid the neighbors finding out the truth. So I thought that was a really fun one. There's another quite interesting one that if a man was indifferent to the smell or the fragrance of rosemary, that there was no way he could provide true love to a woman. He's incapable. I thought that was quite ridiculous. In Belgium, children were told that babies came from rosemary bushes. Some believed that covering yourself in rosemary powder would bring upon a gleeful spirit or a happy mood or mindset. And then there were other places like France that believed combing your hair daily with a brush or comb made of rosemary would prevent giddiness, just in case you were too happy. So there's some really different uses here. Like I said, it's a very versatile plant, and as you can see why there might be so many different uses. You have the magical properties they believed it was endowed with, you have the love correspondence, the death correspondence, the cleansing correspondence. There's so many different aspects of it. Banks' herbal of 1525 claimed that smelling rosemary regularly would keep people young. And as you can see, like I said, these correspondences are just a bit all over the place. So I think that's very telling of how we've got some of these more modern correspondences, because I have been checking a lot of these to the modern correspondences, and a lot of them do add up. So it's exciting. I'm excited to see how this series will unfold and what we will discover along the way. Now I'm going to go into some simple uses that you can use or incorporate rosemary into your life and into your craft. You can steep 2 ounces of rosemary leaves in boiling moon water, or just boiling water if you don't have enough moon water available. Steep it in a pint of water for 10 minutes, and then you can use this infusion and add it into your bath, and it helps promote circulation and digestion, but it's also, like I said, it has the cleansing properties as well. So you could do this in a bath cleanse even. They mentioned earlier the use of rosemary under the pillow to ward from dreams, from bad dreams or evil spirits or witches. And you can use these in dream bags or dream pillows as well, which I have mentioned briefly in another video. I will try to remember to link that below. And then, of course, taking a page from the ancient Greeks, anytime you need to study or do something that requires that extra bit of focus, like meditation, things of that nature, you can burn some dried rosemary, or you can burn some rosemary essential oils as well. And it's also very good to burn while you're stressed. The people who believed in rubbing the powder all over themselves for a happier mindset were actually onto something. According to the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine, rosemary is an uplifting herb, and the use of rosemary is often prescribed for people who are stressed and are failing to thrive. It is valued as an herb that raises the spirits. It is useful for mild to moderate depression. So they really were onto something with that rosemary powder. As far as the people in France with trying to prevent giddiness, I'm not sure how that worked out for them, but it's still quite interesting to note nonetheless. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick peek at this new series and this breakdown of rosemary and the legends and lore behind it. I look forward to doing more of this series with you. If you like this video, you want to see more, please give it a thumbs up. And if you know anything about rosemary that I forgot to mention or that I left out, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, my friends, bless.